Okay, so here we have a simple API, web API that allows us to retrieve an array of data, such as quizzes. And we are following RESTful conventions here, where it is a get operation, perhaps it's a read-only operation, and we're asking for the entities that interest us, right? We can also pass in path parameters that would allow us to, for instance, filter out information that is specific from a collection. So for instance, we might not want all the quizzes, we might want a particular quiz, right? And so we can create URL patterns that allow us to provide provide these parameters as part of the path, right? And we can very much do the same thing, right? We can all these callback functions, right, are going to be triggered based on the parameter of the path, right? So anyway, in this case, we can retrieve the information from the path and copy it into a local variable, so quiz ID, right? What request will do, right, is that the path or all the information that comes from the client, right, will be represented inside of this request object, right, including the URL, including the path variables that are a part of the URL, the IP address of where this request is coming from the client, the timestamp, any cookies, any headers, so a body, HTTP body that's coming from the client. All of that will be represented inside a request object through a certain API. So for instance, the path, right? Path variables can be parsed out from the URL, right? From a params array, right? That has it's a map. It's an object map that you can retrieve a property, right? That is keyed off of the name of the parameter in the path, right? So we can copy it locally, and then we can use it locally. For instance, we can filter out, which quiz do we want based on the quiz ID. So we can say, const the quiz is, looking at the quizzes. I want to find the object. As I iterate over this, the quiz that I'm looking for is the one whose ID, underscore ID, right, it matches the quiz ID that is in the parameter quiz ID. Okay? And once we have const, we can then just return. You can do a response, send back. Now, if we know the data is going to be of a particular format, right? Instead of using the generic send, right? It's a better practice to use the several functions that already know how to format the data in a particular format. So in our case, we know that the data inside of this array is already formatted as JSON. So instead of using the generic send, you can instead use the more specific JSON, right, which will encode this data as part of the request body in the JSON format. It will put the correct headers, it will put the correct format, and the correct MIME type, blah, 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 right? So we're going to return the quiz. Okay, so that's a better practice. Okay, so if we do that, and we restart the server, here, if we come back to this, we still have all the quizzes, but if we want a specific quiz, oops, Q911. Oh, ID. Yeah, I meant to do that. Thank you. Let's try it again. There we go. right? And oops, what happened? Wait, what? API quizzes, and then 2, 3, 4. Well, you can retrieve each one independently. There we go. All right, makes sense? Or if you remove the ID, you get all the quizzes. Excellent.